To the clouds. All right, well, welcome everyone. I'm Ava Goulet, the founder of Dancing Jaguar Spirit Camp, and I am so happy to have you on the call tonight. I am so passionate and excited about this program, and sharing it with others is my life's mission. I'll tell you a little bit about how I came to be on this call with you, where my journey started with this. I had a traumatic brain injury as a result of a head-on car crash years ago. And as I was recovering from that brain injury, quite a few years into the recovery process, I started receiving downloads of messages at 3:20 in the morning. And it was all about this really fun curriculum, fun ways to teach children metaphysical tools. And I have always been very spiritual, and I have always loved working with children. So this information I was getting was really fun for me to be receiving. And I started borrowing children from friends of mine and sharing the curriculum with them, and they were loving it. And the parents were seeing a difference in their children because these tools empower people. Whether you're a child or an adult, when you start really learning how to start tapping into your intuition, or how to listen to your intuition, or even what that quiet little voice from within is, being able to share information like that with children is very empowering for them. And I realized that the information I was receiving in the middle of the night was something I really needed to start paying attention to. So over time, because remember, I'm still recovering from a brain injury as I'm receiving this information, over time, I started realizing that there was more and more information coming through. And then messages started sounding a little bit like, we would like you to be the voice in the face of this work, because the children of the world are needing to have these tools. And, that was starting to sound like a really big responsibility to me, who was, recovering from a brain injury. So it took years for this process to unfold. And I kind of grew into the fact that I was being asked to be the channel and the voice and the face for this work. And as I started sharing Spirit Camp slowly with people in my community first, and then I started expanding across the state of Maine where I live, and then started bringing it to other states, I started realizing that, at least from my perspective in the communities that I was dealing with here in the US on the East Coast, there wasn't anything else like this. So I had like a 3 or 4 years under my belt when I started receiving. Oh, wait a minute, before I go on, I just want to tell you how much fun my summers were, because I got a van and I filled it with my Spirit Camp materials, and I would travel for 9 weeks every summer to a different city teaching Spirit Camp. And the way I did that to keep my overhead really low at the beginning, because nobody knew what this camp was, so I needed to have parents who were really understanding the metaphysical world and stuff. I needed to find them to start bringing their kids in to start spreading the word for me. So the camps were small at first, and I needed to keep my overhead down. So I would contact friends in other states and just say, can I come visit you for a week in the summer? I'll drive there on a weekend. And then I would make connections with Unity or Universalist Unitarian churches in their communities, and I would rent space from them, and we would have the Spirit Camp there. And every single week for 9 weeks, I would travel to a different city. It's been really a fun ride. But after a few years of that, I started hearing the message, the world is ready and the children are waiting. And I thought that I was just being validated for the fact that I was completely living my life, listening to what Spirit was telling me to do, and I was bringing this work forward. But I kept hearing the message, so I knew I was missing something. And then one day I made the connection, maybe I'm supposed to be writing all this stuff down and sharing it with other people. And as soon as I had that aha moment, within the next 30 days, I was receiving Facebook messages or Instagram messages, emails from people from 14 different countries saying, there's nothing like this in our country. Will you bring this here? So I knew I needed to start the teacher training program, and I kept getting the message, the world is ready and the children are waiting. So I started the teacher training program and only had like 3 in-person teacher training programs when the world shut down in March of 2020. And then everything shifted with needing to shift to a virtual platform, which is actually the only way that I'm going to be able to be a voice and a face for this work spreading around the world, because it really does need to be on a virtual platform so I can reach teachers and practitioners like you all over the world. So before I dive into telling you a little bit about the curriculum, I just want to share a really short spirit camp story that I share all the time. So if you've heard me in another call, you may have already heard this. I think I even shared it in Clubhouse, Robin. One 5-year-old came to spirit camp in the summer and was like just lit up. She loves it. All kids love this because they're learning how to be a spirit in a human body. This is their owner's manual. So this little 5-year-old had to start school in the fall by going full days and on the bus back and forth to school. So it was huge, huge for her. And one day she cried during lunch because she missed her mom. And some of the older kids poked fun of her. And when she got home and was relaying the story to her mom said, "How did you handle that?" And the child said, "Mom, I was fine. I know how to shield myself. I zipped up my chakras." So in that moment, this was months after spirit camp ended, the mom realized that her child was empowered to use the tools she learned at spirit camp as young as 5 years old to take care of herself when she was out in the world. So these skills are these tools are practical skills that if you're on this call, you probably are already leading a spiritual life and you are probably already using these tools. But who teaches them to kids? And they're so simple, like muscle testing yourself. When you want to find out, is this in my highest good to do this? When you can't figure out what to do, when you're making your pros and your cons list, I teach kids right off the bat how to muscle test to find out if something is in their highest good, how to tap into their inner wisdom. And it changes everything for kids because they realize that they don't have to keep looking outside themselves for answers. As young as they are, they're already being taught the answers are within. And it's a really wonderful process to watch kids' eyes light up when they realize that, they can look inside themselves and so much information is there for them to be able to access. So there's a couple things that I want you to really feel like you're walking away from this call is one, which I've already alluded to, is these tools are really simple tools. And like I said before, most of us use them in our everyday lives. And this is really the first time that I'm aware of that there's a full body of curriculum where it's dedicated to teaching these tools to children. And if there are many social emotional learning tools that are available within this curriculum. So if you are a parent or a teacher or somebody who works with kids, this curriculum is going to help in all of those relationships, because as you introduce those tools to the children, those are tools that can be used anywhere, in a doctor's office, when the child is in the car with you commuting, or standing in line at the grocery store and they start having a meltdown. There's tools that are accessible just like that the kids have already learned that are going to be able to help them self-regulate in the moment. And then also, I think I alluded to this earlier too, when kids realize that they have a direct connection to source energy and they can access information by themselves, they are empowered to look for answers within, as opposed to constantly looking to their friends. Do you think I should do this? Or do you think this is a good idea? Instead of constantly looking for that validation outside, we're helping them build that muscle of learning how to trust their own intuition. So it's a pretty powerful thing. Another thing I want you to walk away from the call with tonight is that this is a business. So if you are looking for a new way to bring additional income into either your business or your life, if you don't have your own business, this is a really good way to do it, because this is so unique and original. And to my knowledge, like I said before, I think it's the only full program like this of its kind. So the world is waiting for this. And it could very well be that the children are waiting for you to start learning this curriculum and bringing it to the kids in your community or online, if you're somebody who likes to work online with kids. And the last thing that I want to make sure you take away from this call is that combining like love of spirituality with love of working with children, with love of nature, because nature is a big part of Spirit Camp. If you take all of that, but you throw in travel for those people who love traveling, this is like a win-win-win situation, because like I said, I traveled for 9 weeks every summer pre-pandemic. And now now that the world is opening up again, I'm already getting requests from people in other countries to figure out how to bring Spirit Camp, especially to the other side of the world. So Fiona, just FYI, I've been in contact with people from Australia. So you and I could connect at some point in time if you were interested in helping me gather a group of people together in New Zealand. And so what's happening right now is really cool as the world is opening up, because especially with the help of Clubhouse, I'm reaching a much wider audience. So I feel like Spirit's opening up some pretty cool doors right now in terms of how to reach people on the other side of the world. So I want to share with you some of the curriculum at Spirit Camp and how it's broken up. When the kids come on the first day of camp, it's the day that everybody's a stranger to everybody else. So we really need to start building that sense of community and that sense of trust, because as the week progresses, we start diving a little bit deeper into the kids' inner worlds, and they really need to have a foundation of trust and safety underneath them to start going into those places. So Monday is the day that we build our sacred tools that we're going to use for the rest of the week. And it starts with the kids just simply making a spirit toolbox out of a cardboard shoebox. And from there, we start building their tools. And each time we introduce a new module, there's oftentimes a children's storybook that we read to introduce the concept. And then there's a craft that supports that, or an activity, or a game, or a song. So the kids are always having fun, and it's very playful for them, but they're just getting some amazing life skills. So they build their rattles and their talking stick, their sacred pouch, and their dream catcher, in addition to their spirit toolbox, all on the first day. And while we're doing that, the kids are really getting to know each other, and they're starting to bond, and they're starting to find their little groups of friends within the camp. And it's a beautiful thing to watch unfold. Then on Tuesday, it's Energy Day at Spirit Camp. Well, let me go back to say one thing first. Monday is when the children learn that we are a spirit in a human body. And there's a beautiful children's book that I introduce as the very first book of the week that sets the tone for the kids understanding that we are made up of spirit. Tuesday, we start the day with a children's book that teaches the children that we are made up of energy, as is everything around us. So the entire day on Tuesday is learning about chakras. Probably like 2/3 of the day is spent on chakras. Games that I downloaded from Spirit, games, crafts, activities, songs. So it's all, like I said, very fun and playful, but the kids are learning all about their chakra system. And then we move into as part of that, they make their own pendulums. And then they work with a partner and they start learning how to use their pendulum to see if their partner's chakras are open or blocked. And then one of the gifts they receive from Spirit Camp is a Chakra Stone Bag. And they learn how to use stones to release the blocks if chakras are blocked. So it's it feels very magical to the kids. You can see their eyes like getting really big and excited when they start hearing about or seeing in front of them that the stones are actually working to start unblocking the chakras. It's really fun for them. And then in the afternoon, we talk about auras. And we actually even use dowsing rods to show children how large their personal space is, which opens us up to having conversations about how big our personal space is, because most kids don't really have a concept of how big it is. So again, there are these big wide-eyed aha moments when they realize how that their personal space does not end, an inch after where their skin is. And then it allows us to have conversations like when somebody comes into your personal space and it feels uncomfortable because you feel this knot or something in your solar plexus, and we can use that word on Tuesday because they've learned their chakras, and what it feels like in a crowded elevator when everybody is in each other's space and it all feels very awkward and uncomfortable. And we start having conversations about this is your higher wisdom alerting you with this sensation in your solar plexus that there's something going on that you probably want to pay attention to. So we start teaching the children how they receive information in their bodies when there is a message or a signal coming in from spirit, or from intuition, what source energy, whatever you want to call it, that is just telling them pay attention. So then they end up using their own little palm chakras to sense the aura of a partner in the camp. And then they practice seeing each other's auras. So Tuesday is a really, really full day working with energy. Then Wednesday is all about working with spirit helpers. So they learn how to do shamanic journeying, and they learn how to discover their power animal, how to meet their power animal, how to develop a relationship with it, and how to call on spirit helpers when they are struggling, having a bad day, feeling vulnerable, needing support. So that typically is the favorite day of Spirit Camp for children, because to know, all kids, well, I can't say all, but most kids that I have ever worked with love animals, and some already have a really close affinity to an animal. So this is a really exciting day for them. And some kids have even asked if, let me backtrack for 1 second here. On Power Animal Day, I always invite the children to bring their favorite stuffed animal with them. And we introduce the stuffed animals in our opening circle. And before we go into the opening circle every day, we're always we're smudging. We're going into sacred space. So it's very ceremonial. Ritualistic, ceremonial. And I smudge all of the stuffed animals before we go into opening circle. And the kids just eat that up. And they love having their animal there and being introduced to us. And I was going to say something else right in there and I forgot what it was. I can't remember. It'll come back. If it's meant to, it'll come back. So on Tuesday, the children are learning how to protect themselves energetically. On Wednesday, they're learning how to protect themselves spiritually. They learn how to call in their spirit helpers when they need it. So this is like powerful stuff. And then on Thursday, it's all social emotional learning stuff that we do with kids, curriculum that we're introducing, gratitude, affirmations, identifying your inner critic, self-compassion, mindfulness. Thursday's curriculum, and then some, because every year I introduce new curriculum on Thursday. There's a lot of curriculum that is now considered like SEL curriculum that can be used in after-school programs, in-school programs. I teach virtual. I use those classes as my free lead magnet to keep building my online audience with new families coming into my email list all the time. So you can use that. All of the curriculum on Thursday is very mainstreamable. Like if you don't have an audience right now of a lot of spiritually aware parents or families that you work with, you can use those social emotional learning modules as a way to bring in families and then slowly start nurturing them and sharing ideas about chakras and energy, and just slowly start introducing them to some of the more spiritual concepts of Spirit Camp. And then Friday is a day where we're getting ready for our closing ceremony, which is a beautiful ceremony that everybody can, family, friends, everybody can come and witness. And prior to that, there's a really beautiful module that I love in Spirit Camp, and I feel like this is the module that puts the icing on the cake for why this program is so important for children. Because they have really spent a lot of time working with their own energy and connecting to the energy of a partner in Spirit Camp, one of our last modules is to go outside and connect with the energy of the natural world. We connect to the energy of a tree, or to the boulders on the property, or to the plants in the garden. And, to see little kids walking up to a tree and with their palm chakras open and just silently asking the tree for permission to enter its space. And then asking the tree for permission to put their hands, my hands are tingling, to put their hands on the trunk, and then asking permission to put their third eye on the trunk, and then asking the tree for a message. Holy cow, it's so amazing. I had a 5-year-old boy, maybe he was 6, he was really little, but 5 or 6, come up to me afterwards and say, you know how you keep telling us to listen with our heart and not with our ears? And I said, yes. And he said, when I listened with my heart, I could hear the sap moving inside that tree. I was like, wow, I got goosebumps again, just telling you that. It's so powerful when you hear little tiny children saying the most profound things that they're experiencing, because they're being given a vocabulary that children don't normally have, and they're able to talk about things that is not normal conversation for any of us. I can't speak for you, but when I grew up, we did not talk like this in my family. So I just wanted to give you an idea of how this curriculum is so big and broad and touches on so many different aspects of metaphysical tools or spiritual tools or concepts for children, to really give them a good, strong foundation. And one of the things that I wanted to give to you guys, just for showing up for this call or expressing interest in coming to hear about this, is I have an online store that I've developed over years of researching a lot of, like, even independent authors who have now heard about Spirit Camp and have written a book and want to send it to me and see if it might be a good fit for Spirit Camp. So I've developed this really good little library of books that I feel really nurture the spirit of a child. And just for coming to this call, I'm going to add that to the email that I send out after this call ends. So you can actually see some of the books that I sell to parents. And I also have used some of them to do some research and to expand on some of the curriculum that was given to me in my downloads. So I would like to give you a sneak preview of one of the modules at Spirit Camp that has become one of the cornerstones for Spirit Camp and in the social emotional learning curriculum. This module that I'm going to give you a little tiny snippet of an experience with is taught now in professional development programs for teachers. I've taught it at educational symposiums, at conferences for educators. And it started off with as just one of my downloads from spirit, and I'll tell you the story about what happened after the very first time I taught this. But I would like to invite you, if you wouldn't mind, we're going to do a short meditation, and I am going to show you one of our relaxation scripts that we use in Spirit Camp. I'm going to do the short version of everything for you, and then the short version of the meditation to introduce you to your inner critic. And then I'll show you a picture of the first Spirit Camp that I did this meditation in. So I would like to invite you to just find yourself in a comfortable spot for like the next 5 minutes. And if you're comfortable doing so, go ahead and just close your eyes and focus inward for a few minutes here. And just take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale. And we're going to do 2 more breaths like that. Breathe in through your nose and exhale. And one more time, breathing in through your nose and exhaling. Now pretend you're squeezing a whole lemon in both of your hands right now. Squeeze your hands really hard, trying to get all of the juice out of those lemons. Feel how tight your hands are while you're squeezing. Okay, now let those lemons drop. Shake out your hands a little bit. Feel how relaxed they are. Beautiful. Pretend now that you are a furry, lazy cat and you want to stretch. So stretch your arms out in front of you and raise them up over your head. Really pull those shoulders. Good. Stretch higher. And let those arms drop by your sides. Oh, nice stretch, kitty. All right, now we're going to pretend that you are a turtle sitting on a rock by a nice, peaceful pond, just relaxing in the warm sun. You feel very warm and safe. Oh, you're sensing danger. Pull your head into your house. Pull your shoulders up to your ears. Push your head down into your shoulders and hold it tight, tight. Hold on, hold on. Oh, the danger's gone. Oh, beautiful. Come out into the warm sunshine and once again, relax. Beautiful. Okay, now pretend that you have a giant jawbreaker bubble gum in your mouth and it's hard to chew. Bite down on it hard, hard. Let those neck muscles help you. Oh, squeeze it hard. Beautiful. Okay, relax. Let your jaw hang loose. Oh, good job. And now a pesky old fly is buzzing around your head. And oh my goodness, it just landed right on your nose. Try to get him off your nose without using your hands. Let your nose wrinkle up really tight. Make as many wrinkles on your nose as you can. Scrunch it up really hard. Oh, good, good. You chased it away. Wonderful job. All right, my friends. Oh my goodness, here comes a baby elephant, but he's not watching where he's going and he does not see you lying there in the grass. He's about to step on your stomach. Don't move. You don't have time to get out of the way. Just get ready for him. Make your stomach muscles really, really hard. Tighten them up as hard as you can. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Oh, he's going the other way. All right, relax. Good job, friends. Now pretend that you are standing barefoot in a big, fat mud puddle and squish your toes down deep into the mud. Try getting your feet down to the bottom of the mud puddle. Push down, spread your toes apart, and feel that mud squishing up between your toes. Beautiful. Now step out of the mud puddle and relax your feet. Oh my gosh, it feels so good to have your whole body relaxed, doesn't it? Okay, now we're going to keep pretending, and this time we're pretending that you are the proud owner of a miniature drone that is so tiny it's small enough to enter your body through your ear. Imagine this. So now I want you to pretend that you're holding the remote control for this drone. And it starts flying around your body, making circles tighter and tighter as it gets closer to your head. Now it approaches your ear and you notice that it is completely quiet. There's no sound and it gently enters your brain. There are so many hallways in your brain, but you steer toward the control center and you'll know exactly how to get there. Your intuition will guide you to the perfect place. So keep winding your way through the hallways and you'll notice a room in front of you that has a sign that says Control Center. Steer the drone into the control center and you'll see numerous people sitting around a table and you'll immediately recognize your inner critic. Take note of what it looks like. Is it male or female? Is it tall or short? What color hair does it have? Use your intuition to see if you can learn what its name is. And then through the speakers on your drone, tell it that you're happy to meet it because today it's going to learn how to be more loving toward you from now on. Then tell it you need to leave for now and steer the drone out of the room, along the hallways, winding your way back to your ear. And then the drone exits your ear and you park it nearby. It needs to be ready for takeoff again in a little while. Now withdraw your attention from the drone and put your remote control down. Take a moment to wiggle your fingers and toes and gently stretch your arms and legs. Take a deep breath and slowly bring yourself back to the room and back to room consciousness and to this call. And then open your eyes and return to the call when you feel ready. At this point in time, I would be asking the children to take the paper and pencil that they have next to them to draw a picture of what they just saw when they did that guided visualization. And before we go on, I just want to ask any of you if there's any questions or comments that you would like to share regarding your experience in that meditation. Go ahead, Robin.
I just want to ask a question. My inner critic was androgynous, very tall.
Mm-hmm.
But do 5-year-olds know what inner critic mean?
Yes. Well, we have a whole conversation about that before.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I just jumped to the meat of the module for you, but this is a whole 1-hour module that starts with a discussion about the conversations that kids have in their inner world. And this is the first time most kids have even been aware that they aren't the thoughts that they're thinking. This is the first time most kids are starting to develop that awareness that they are separate from the thoughts that they're thinking. So there's a whole teaching that goes on before we actually get to this point, but that's a great question, Robin. Thank you. Does anybody else have a question or comment? Okay. So I'm going to show you a picture that came out of the very first time that I did this module with kids. Can you see this okay? Picture of, okay. So this child was 7. And as you can see in the center of her drawing is a child with a broken heart. And around here, words, you don't know anything, you can't do that, you'll never be cool as me. Oh, and up here, her inner critic's name was Mrs. Critical. Another thought bubble, you'll never be awesome. It looks like this drawing, there's like somebody throwing things. You can't do anything. I don't want to see your face. You look like a worm and ugly and a dog. And then mwahaha. So when this child came up to me with this drawing, oops, hang on here. I have to escape out of that so I can get to my other notes and then find you again. There we go. She came up to me and just said that she wasn't going to take it home and just gave it to me. And 99% of the time, or even more than that, most children, if they don't want to take something home, they just go put it in the trash. They don't bring it to me. So I in the moment, I just realized there was something significant about that moment. And I put the drawing in the back of my binder. And it was the first spirit camp of that summer. And I was teaching every week. So I didn't find that drawing again in the back of my binder until Labor Day weekend. And I looked at it again and I realized that I know that child's mom. And I felt like that mom would want to know what was going on inside her daughter's inner dialogue. So I emailed it to the mom. We had a conversation via email first, and then I emailed the picture of the drawing to her. And she wrote back and said that seeing that drawing would forever change the way she speaks to her child. She said, I don't say those words to her, but I'm a yeller. And if that's what she's hearing when I yell, this will forever change the way that I am parenting my children. So she was so grateful to see that drawing because it gave her insight into what's happening inside her child. And when I have taught this child, this class as a virtual class, I always tell parents in an email beforehand, this is a really important class for you to gain insight into what's happening in your child's inner world. And I ask parents to just kind of either take the class with their child or to be like listening in the background, because children are really open when they're sharing about what's going on with their inner critic. They haven't developed all of those layers of conformity yet. They're just right out there with it. So, after I started inviting parents to kind of be aware that I was going to be teaching this material with their children, I started getting feedback with parents saying, why aren't teachers doing this with kids in school? So I started reaching out to friends who are teachers and social workers and therapists. And then I just started getting connected to all kinds of different people who wanted to know how to introduce this work to kids, so they could start getting more insight into what's happening in kids' minds. So this is a way that we can start first helping children identify their inner dialogue. And after this meditation, we do another one where the kids are introduced to their inner champion. And that's when we start layering on the tools about how to work with your inner critic and your inner champion, so that your inner champion's voice becomes louder than your inner critic's. And this is such an important step for mental health. Can you imagine, our teenagers today are in such a crisis in terms of their mental health, but if we could get this module into the hands of teachers and social workers and people who work with teens, we could really start helping teens develop more inner awareness and understand that they can manage that inner dialogue that they're experiencing, and start learning how to layer on more positive self-talk so that they raise their self-esteem, their self-awareness, their self-confidence, and start building up their inner world strength. So I'm going to leave that module and go on to my next thing that I want to share with you, unless there are any questions or comments about that module. Does anyone have anything that you'd like to ask or share about that? No? Go ahead, Fiona.
Does it ever happen that children can't access their inner critic?
Yes. Yes, and that's totally okay. So in that case, I ask the children, because all the kids are drawing a picture, I'll just say, so if you were to use your intuition, your imagination, let's open your third eye up for a minute here. Just check in with that. And what would you imagine your inner critic looks like? So I just have them imagine it. And that brings us close enough to what we need to do for the rest of the module. Yeah, good question, Fiona. Thank you. Okay, so I want to share with you another screen share here. And it's a document. Where did it go? It's behind little inner critic stuff here. There we go. It's a document that tells you a little bit about what you receive when you join the teacher training program. Can you see that, or do I need to make that bigger? Here, okay. So first of all, you receive all of the curriculum, which is now, it's a pretty good binder. It's heavy, but there's a ton of curriculum in here. And like I said, every year I was adding to the curriculum. So you get more material than you could ever use in a summer camp. So you have enough material to be doing programs year round that, you know, could be in weekend workshops, after school programs, in school programs, teaching at yoga studios. There's a ton of people have asked me to do birthday parties before. I have a little 2-hour program I called Chakra Shenanigans, and I've been hired to come do a Chakra Shenanigans birthday party before. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get really creative to use this material. And then I also provide all of the teacher training students written stories of some of the things you've heard me talk about now. So as you're just starting to talk to parents about Spirit Camp, you know, I give you guys permission to use my stories until you have developed your own with children. So you have some talking points to share with people about why this work is so important and how it impacts children in a really positive and profound way. Let me see, I've already talked about the plug and play modules, which is the extra modules that come that get added each year as I'm teaching. So that's like an extra bonus there. Then part of this curriculum is also what I call a business in a box. You receive so much information about how to do this as a business. I give you like an Excel spreadsheet of a timeline over the course of a year. And if you're doing a summer school, I mean, a summer camp, oh, Fiona, I'm talking about Northern Hemisphere here. I just realized that you would have to like mentally change the months in your, on your copies. But if you were to be teaching a summer camp, say in June, I tell you, like from October to June, everything that you should be thinking about and accomplishing in order to be ready for that Spirit Camp to be up and running in June, including like press releases to send out, or who to contact in your community, like how to look for community bulletin boards. I mean, there's just a ton of information in there about setting up your own camps. I give you sample letters that I have sent to Universalist Unitarian or Unity churches, or for those of you, if anybody's on the West Coast, Center for Spiritual Living is another church that loves Spirit Camp. So you get like a lot of support for how to start moving forward doing your own Spirit Camps. You get all the SEL curriculum that, oh, I didn't even tell you about this. Okay, some of the social emotional learning curriculum was developed actually at the beginning of the pandemic. In March of 2020, Saturday night before the world shut down on Monday morning in terms of schools closing, I got a message from Spirit at 3:20 in the morning that said, get up and write a newsletter and send it out to all of your people saying that every afternoon, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m., I'm going to be meeting with kids online and giving them a place to process what's happening in the world. I mean, there was so much unknown going on. We all needed a place to feel safe and to talk about it. So that email on Sunday was shared over 1,400 times on social media. And I ended up having like 100 families coming through at the very beginning of the pandemic. And each day we would talk about something different. I would read a children's book. The first day was a book about emotions. And then the kids got to color a picture of, that would show us how they were feeling without them even having to use their words to tell us how they were feeling. But parents were on the calls with the kids, and I got emails after that just said, I had no idea what my child was going through, but just seeing the picture that he drew and having you talk about the pictures with the kids, she said, now I understand, what's going on in my kid's head about this. So we did gratitude practice, and why that is so important to start developing as we were dealing with so much unknown, to really keep that positive energy going in the household, and an affirmation practice. And we did a module on talking sticks to learn how to have healthy conflict resolution while everybody was piled on top of each other, all in the homes together. So it became a safe place for all kinds of families from all over the world to come in and just be together and learn healthy tools to be able to help get through it. So what I do when I teach this teacher training program is I give you all of that too, all the stuff I developed in the beginning of the pandemic. And those are the classes that I use as my lead magnet to get people to come into my email list. I do a week's worth. In fact, my classes are starting on tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I'm going to do Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock spirit empowerment classes that are going to be tools for kids to start developing their own awareness of what's going on inside of them. And then, of course, from there, my hope is that parents will start looking at the other curriculum that we offer at Dancing Jaguar and get them into some of the paid programs. So I give you the same exact material that I use to build my business. And then you'll also get the virtual Spirit Camp curriculum, because obviously during the pandemic, I couldn't do in-person teaching, but it did transfer into an online platform with a lot of creativity in terms of how the kids could work with each other to check their chakras when we're, in different countries. So it took a little creative thinking outside the box, but we have virtual Spirit Camp that's ready for you to teach once you're certified as well. And then you'll be invited to our closed Facebook group for teachers. And you will, let me see what else. Yep, that was the last one. And then I want to tell you that the next teacher training program that I think some of you are already aware of is starting on August 2nd. It's in person in the state of Maine, on a little island right off the coast. We just cross a bridge onto the island. But this is why I'm calling this the event of the year. And I'll explain that to you and why I think it's so important, if any of you are able to do this, to please try to make this happen. August 2nd through 7th is the in-person teacher training program. But starting August 9th, on that following Monday, I'm doing an in-person spirit camp in the same town with 20 children. And anyone who comes to that teacher training program is invited to stay and do an internship with me the following week. So you get to actually be with me when I am teaching spirit camp to these children. So I'm calling this like a full spirit camp immersion experience, because this is the only time since pre-pandemic that I have had the opportunity to teach a spirit camp, a teacher training program followed by a spirit camp. And it's going to be the only time in 2021 that it'll happen. It won't be until next summer when I'm able to do back-to-back weeks like that again, because kids are going to be in school. So if any of you have the opportunity to come to Maine to do this program August 2nd through 7th and can swing it to do the teacher training, the spirit camp the next week, you will be golden, because you will understand from beginning to end everything about the program and how it works and why it works. And you will be witness to seeing the children light up when they start making those connections that they are a spirit and human body. Then let me go back to my notes here. I feel like I'm skipping something. Oh, and then I'm going to be sending a recording of this call later, like 2 hours after our call ends. I have an email ready to go with the link to the recording. In that, I will also share information about the virtual teacher training program that's going to start on October 3rd. So you will have information in the letter coming to you like 2 hours from now, about the next virtual program. So if you can come to the one in August, between when the email comes to you in a couple of hours, you'll have until midnight, Monday night Eastern time. So you have a little over 24 hours to save $150 on the program. So you'll get a discount. And I'm also going to be making sure everyone who comes to the in-person program has this binder that you get to go home with. And it's actually quite heavy, so we might have to ship it to you if anybody is flying in. So, and then let me keep going on here. Yes, the links are going to be in there. So if you register by tomorrow night at midnight, which is July 12th Eastern time, you'll receive $150 discount on the program and receive your binder. And then I do want to tell you that the dates for the October virtual training, it's going to be on Sundays. And because of my travel schedule, yay, the world is opening up. There are a couple of, we usually do six weekend days in a row. Like it would normally be like 6 Sundays in a row. But I have some traveling speaking engagements that were already booked. So there's 2 weeks that we have to take a break in there. So over a period of 8 weeks, we'll do the virtual teacher training program on Sundays. But also there's a bonus special in there for you if you want to register for October's program. Still, you get the $150 discount, and you get the option of doing a 3-month installment plan because it's far enough out that it'll still be paid for by the time your program is underway. And you will also get the printed manual. This is a bonus for the virtual one, because the virtual teacher training program, usually you get PDFs that you print. You receive them in the mail from me, you print them, and you start each week, you're printing and putting together your own binder. But as a bonus, for those of you who can't come to Maine in October and you want to do the virtual training you can't come to Maine in August and you want to do the virtual training in October, that will be your second bonus. So you've got $150 off and the printed manual, and I ship it to you the week before the program starts. So I want to really briefly touch on the cost for the program. I mean, it's valued at $2,400 and I offer it at $1,497. And for those of you who register before Monday night at midnight Eastern time, you'll get it for $1,347. And I want to share with you another little thing here. This is one of the Spirit Camp teachers from my virtual training in October of 2020. And this is what she had to say as we were wrapping up the training. Her name's Shanti. I forgot to do screen share. Share computer sound. Hang on. There. How do I start her over? I can't see all of the controls right now. There.
Insane amount of organization going on here. It really makes a whole world of difference for people like me who need things to be just so in order to understand them. So I think you've done a really excellent job. And also with how incredibly attentive you are to answering emails really quickly, answering questions almost immediately before I even know I have them. You've already answered them. And just for putting together something that is like truly gives an actual glimmer of hope for how our work can impact the future generations in a way that might actually make a difference. There's very few things out there that I have seen that I feel truly called to participate in. And so thank you.
Oh, thanks, Shanti. So, this is something that, because of my past careers before my brain injury, I feel like I've had the skills and the help from spirit to be able to put together this information in a way that is really user friendly for anyone who wants to learn how to do this and how to really be a part of this army of peaceful warriors that spirit has asked me to amass to bring all of these teachings to the children around the world. So I have mentioned to you before that Unity and UU churches are ways that, and Center for Spiritual Living, are churches that typically do not have their own summer camps for kids like Christian schools have their vacation Bible schools. Well, Unity, UU, and Center for Spiritual Living churches don't typically have a summer camp for their kids. So I have been using those networks that are already built. Unity and UU churches are global. I don't know if Center for Spiritual Living is, I'm not sure, but there's a built-in network for us to use to just start spreading this around the world. We just need to have more people doing it. So I invite you to, become a part of that army of peaceful warriors that spirit told me I needed to gather together to be able to take this to the children around the world. And I'm going to share one more story, and then I'm going to open it up for any questions. There was a child who was 11 who was already starting to cut as a coping mechanism. And her therapist and her mom, she's from my community, so Spirit Camp was pretty well known. And the therapist and mom decided jointly to send her to Spirit Camp. And over the course of the week, this child was really thriving. I didn't know she was having such difficulties. But one day in the camp, the mom texted me and said, I don't know who this child is you're sending home every day because she's smiling. My child hasn't smiled in months. What are you doing? And I told her that all I was doing was providing her with a roadmap to her inner world. And she was the one that was doing all of the work and exploring and discovering things about herself. I was just showing her the map. And at the end of that week, we do an exercise that teaches kids how to move energy out of their bodies. It's a very shamanic exercise where I teach them how to identify a yucky feeling in their solar plexus, and then throughout the process of the entire module and the meditation, they move that energy up out of their body and they blow it into a pine cone. And then as part of our closing ceremony, we offer it to the fire. And there's a whole lesson around this with how fire and water can transmute energy. And it's a big teaching, but I'm making it really short for you. So anyway, the child was just really loved that whole exercise and learning about energy and fire and stuff. Well, the day after Spirit Camp, her grandmother had a stroke and she was going to pass away. And the mom texted me, said she was freaking out that her daughter was going to start cutting again. And did I have any suggestions? And I suggested that she remind her child of her spirit toolbox and to call me if she wanted some support. So the mom wrote me an email the next day and said that she was writing through tears because her daughter came to her the day before and said, Mom, we need to do a fire ceremony for grandma. And all of us are going to write a letter to her and we're going to read it around the fire and then we're going to burn them. And the fire is going to transmute the energy from our letters, and the smoke will carry our words up to heaven. So when grandma dies, she'll have letters waiting for her from all of us. Like, doesn't that I can see you guys on the call. I mean, that is powerful stuff. The mom said that she knew her daughter was going to be okay because, the mom was at the closing ceremony when we did that exercise with the fire and the transmutation of the energy and stuff. And she said, I know she has tools now that she can use and adapt them for what she's experiencing in life when she's having a rough time. That's what Spirit Camp does for kids. So I know some of it brought some of you guys to tears. I know I get goosebumps every single time I tell that story. Oh, thank you for being here. I know somebody just said they had to leave. Thank you for being here, though. I really appreciate it. And I will be sending you some information in an email later. It's hard for me to juggle the chat and the call. So I'm going to open this up to any questions any of you have, and I'm going to stop talking because, as you can see, I really love doing what I do, and I could talk forever. So does anybody have any questions for me? Oh my gosh, no questions? Okay.
I was just really interested. I'm Sue Ann,
Hi, Sue.
and I just really wanted to check it out because I've gone through a lot of changes this year too. I have a brain injury, and I lost my mother last year, and then I got into a car accident, and I ended up quitting my job because I knew things had to change. And I'm actually doing right now an intuition life coach program. And I saw this because I'm still learning so much about my tools and everything else. But I saw this and I was like, I have to check this out. This is amazing. I really have been looking for something to get to children instead of, just adults. Get it before, other limiting beliefs start, showing up in their life and really making life harder for them. So I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate the opportunity to check this out. And I don't really have any questions. I'm really excited to look into everything about this.
Thank you, Sue Ann. And in the email that I'm sending out in a couple of hours after this video processes, there is also a link to schedule a Zoom meeting with me if you want to have another conversation or you have more questions that you don't want to ask on the call. There's information about how to register for in-person, how to register for virtual, what you get for bonuses. And there's also at the very bottom in the PS a link to get a Zoom call with me on my calendar. Okay. So thank you for that, Sue Ann. Is there anybody else who has a question or a comment? Fiona.
So that was amazing. Thank you. That was just amazing. So what if I feel like, gosh, I haven't done much journeying myself, and I would be like a mini step in front of the students. What would you say to that?
Well, that is a great question, Fiona. It comes up in the training. It hasn't ever come up on the teacher training call. However, I tell you I take you through the entire thing of how to explain journeying to children, how to lead them through the journey. You actually, as part of your training, do 3 journeys with me. And then I always ask people to please, continue journeying even after we have finished the teacher training program. But I want to share something with you because I am a shamanic practitioner. In my experience with doing this work with children do a shamanic journey so darn fast. It's in and out in like 3 minutes, they're done. So for adults, there's so much like, I really want to know the process and I want to make sure that I'm doing this right. And I want to make sure, okay, does this come first or does that come next? And with kids, they don't care. They're just going to connect to spirit and come right back out again. It's such a fast process for children that I really try to encourage the teacher training students to not get overwhelmed by making sure you're doing it right. You just give them the bullet point basics. They're going to do the rest because they are already so close to source energy. They just came from the other side of the veil. So this is a much simpler process for them than it is for us. So you do learn everything you need to learn to be able to teach it to the children and kind of hold their hand as they're going through the process themselves. But then if you have any insecurities after that, I just encourage my teachers to sign up for, an introductory to shamanic work call like Shift Network and Sounds True. They have all kinds of introductory courses like that you could sign up for. And many of them are free just to keep that journeying muscle getting a little more experience. Okay. Any other questions? No? All right, my friends. Well, I want to thank you so much. I see something else in the chat. Let me just see if it's the age parameters of children. Okay. So the children's spirit camp, I usually use ages 5 to 12. It's a big age range. I know, especially if you're a teacher, you know, that's a really big age range. However, this camp is so new, you're not going to start with 20 kids that are ages 5 to 8. It's just not going to happen because people are still trying to figure out what the heck is spirit camp. Some people think it's a religious camp, or some people think it's a cheerleaders camp. You know, people are just starting to understand that there's something new and unique coming on here. So this is 5 to 12 age range that I use for the little kids camp. And then I have a teen camp, and then there's adult spirit camp, because so many parents who brought their kids to spirit camp said, I need to learn how to do this too. So I started inviting adults to come to spirit camp with their kid if they could. And then for the adults who couldn't come to spirit camp with their children, they said, I need to learn this too. I need something for me. So now there's like all kinds of spirit camps, but the only one that I have is a virtual program right now, and in the teacher training program is the little kids camp. And because there's such a wide age range, I oftentimes will pair up an older student with a younger one, just to build in some support for the little ones if they need help writing the words of the chakras, for instance. So anyway, it has worked. And as spirit camp becomes more known around the world, then we could probably start dividing it up into smaller groups, smaller age ranges, like 5 to 8 and 9 to 12. But for now, like my group that has 20 kids in it, the second week of August, that's ages 6 to 12. It's at a private school and they don't have 5-year-olds. So that one is age 6 to 12. And 6 weeks before summer camp registration opened in February, this camp was full and closed. So, you know, there is, and it's my 3rd year of teaching spirit camp at that summer school. So you can see that in time, I think I started with 8 kids the first year, and by the 3rd year, it was selling out in weeks. So it's a good way to build a summer camp income. By the way, let's talk about that. I have 20 kids, all paying $300 a piece to be in that camp. That's $6,000 1 week. I just show up, I teach, I leave, they give me the check. They get a percentage of that. It's a 70-30 split, but still there's decent money to be made here if you take the time to build up your reputation in your community to get to a point where you're having 20 kids consecutively every single year. It's a good source of income for the summer. If you do that for 9 weeks, you're doing pretty good. Okay. So I am going to stop talking, my friends. Thank you for being on this call. Bless you. And if you are from the other part of the world anywhere, just know that I am trying to gather clusters of people together in various countries so I can come and do this live with you, and then do a spirit camp with you the next week. And then those teachers in that country will organically be able to spread spirit camp throughout that country, because I have been there, like working with you and giving you every single bit of information that I can in person. So it's a beautiful thing. Thanks, everybody. Reach out to me if you have any questions. All righty. Good night.